Good morning, friends. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Franklin and to the mountains of Western North Carolina and Northeast Georgia. Let us acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional land of the Cherokee. My name is Mary Teslow, and I'm pleased to be your service leader today. I am joined this morning by our Zoom stage manager, Annette Watlington, and Jude Lowry coordinating our music. The Zoom chat box is available for announcements. Those who prefer to focus on the service can close it now and catch up later. Our church-related announcements, our Christmas Gathering of Friends service is scheduled in 2 weeks for December 19th. If you'd like to participate with a reading, music, or more, there's still time to be in touch with Marge Abel and be able to share in that celebration. Our UU congregation is partnering with Union Academy for the holiday celebration. There was a gathering on Thursday to prepare goodie bags, and perhaps Olga might like to share a word or two about Thursday's gathering. Or maybe she's not right there. In any event, there's still opportunity to participate in other ways, and I encourage you to watch the UU View for that and for other opportunities to gather together. Are there any other announcements from the congregation or the community this morning?
If anyone in Zoom has an announcement, please unmute yourself and make your announcement. I think we're looking good, Mary.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our fellowship is a light for liberal religion in the mountains that values diversity and the richness it brings to our community, reflected in the variety of our Sunday services. Today, we welcome back John Snodgrass with a sermon titled Competition. We hope today's service enriches your journey. Our opening words. Our sermon this morning explores competition, which brings to mind the recent Summer Olympics in Tokyo and the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing in February. The Olympic flame links the modern and ancient games. The knowledge, mastery, and use of fire figures among the most important achievements of humanity. The ancient Greeks, for example, explained the presence of fire on Earth through the myth of Prometheus. The divine origin of fire made it a sacred element. The Greeks maintained perpetual fires in front of their main temples. The purity of this fire was guaranteed by the traditional ignition technique. The flame was obtained from the rays of the sun, using an ancestor of the parabolic mirror that caused heat intense enough to create a flame. In the context of the modern Olympic Games, the flame symbolizes the positive values that man has always associated with the symbol of fire. Lighting our chalice. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. There we go. So you can see it. Most UU congregations begin their worship on Sunday mornings by lighting one in the form of a lamp or candle cradled within the wide-lipped vessel. Designed during World War II, one influence on the design was a reminiscence of the lamps of holy oil used by the ancient Greeks and Romans at their altars. At its most literal level of meaning, the flaming chalice signals UU identity, but it has other registers of meaning as well. It suggests the transformations that take place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. The flame is what one of our beloved congregational hymns terms the fire of commitment, which we will hear in our offertory later in the service. Now our opening hymn, 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of love, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in land, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you, Jude. It is our pleasure to welcome our good friend John Snodgrass back with us. He teaches college courses on various religions and is the author of numerous books, including Natives Discover America, an anthropological study of the white man. Sample chapters of this and his other books can be found at j-snodgrass.com. John's sermon this morning is titled Competition. Welcome, John.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. It is very nice to see you all again. Last month, I had the profound experience of participating in a pie eating contest, like a no hands, face down event. Now, the pie itself was about half size, but it was a key lime pie, so I still count it as a whole pie. It was a surprise pie eating contest announced suddenly after a kickball game, and my first thought was, at last, my first thought was, at last I get to see a live pie eating contest. I have never seen competitive eating before, and I've always wanted to. But I was really adrenalized by this kickball game in which I'd managed to not make a total fool of myself. I actually made a pretty heroic catch and scored a couple of runs. Despite being absolutely terrified, I still suffer from the PTSD of having been an overweight preteen stuffed into a baseball uniform. And looking at my teammates, I thought, they need me. So I volunteered to take one for the team, one key lime pie. That moment of competitive spirit cost me the deferment of a dream, the dream to giggle and cheer as people shove their faces into pies. I'm fascinated by the idea of humans dropping this whole pretense, the thin veneer of civilized, and just going animal. That's not the personal experience I had. Actually, people who eat like animals lose those contests. It's the people who eat like mathematicians, the people who eat like engineers who win. And I couldn't help it. That's what I tried to do. You can't see anything. You can't have your pie and watch it too. So I still have not seen an eating contest. I know what you're thinking. That's why God made YouTube. But watching a contest on video just wouldn't be the same. And I desperately hope that nobody is watching me in that contest on YouTube. Somebody asked me afterward, do you want to see the video? No, thank you. I do not want to see myself eating a whole pie on video. My world might smell like key lime for hours. That will pass. But I don't think I could ever fully recover from the sight of watching that. I didn't win. I think I was 3rd out of 10. It was a loss, but not an embarrassing loss, unless you count volunteering in the first place as an embarrassing loss. The winner was a marathon runner with a degree in engineering. So as a seminary graduate, I never had a prayer. But I wasn't competing with him. I was competing with my self-conscious, overweight teenage self, my own fear of looking like a pig. In some ways, that surge of competition pushed me to do something heroic. In other ways, it turned me into a clown for people to laugh at. Competition can bring out the best and the worst in us, and sometimes it can pie you in the face. The Iroquois, the natives of Western New York, they have a story about way back when the world was new. A pregnant woman fell through a hole in the sky toward the world, and the world was only water. Some ducks saw her falling, and they knew that she would drown because there was no land, so they quickly held a vote. Would they help her or not? They quacked about this, and they reached a consensus to help. So they used their wings to slow her fall. And then a turtle volunteered to support her on its back. The ducks had made a difficult decision. Obviously, the arrival of this human species would make life harder for them. They would have to compete for resources, and sometimes they would be a resource, food for hunters. But they accepted this challenge, and things got better for them. Because of the woman on the turtle shell, dry land appeared for the first time, and the ducks got stable places to build their nests and lay their eggs. The sky woman, or in some versions of the story, her daughter, was pregnant with twin sons, and they were competitive even in the womb. She could feel them kicking and fighting. When the time came for the twin birth, one of them realized that he would come out second. So he pushed in the other direction and tore his way out through her armpit. She barely had life enough left to deliver the other baby. In this story, sibling rivalry was toxic. It brought death into the world. And they continued competing. After they were born, one of them made predators, the other made rabbits and deer. One of them made winter. His brother competed by making spring. They kept trying to outdo each other. Their creativity was fueled by competition. And they created a balanced world, not too hard, not too soft, a world that would provide for human beings, but also would keep them tough by making them work for their food. And those who were willing to work harder would live a little better. But more than that, they could earn respect and authority that came from great generosity. Native American cultures in general tended to be very competitive about who could be the most charitable. A couple of years ago, I did a sermon about this Iroquois creation story, and I said that competitive creativity was a very masculine thing. When I was a kid, my brothers and I were always trying to outdo each other, and they got so good at explaining how they were really the winner no matter what, that they both grew up and became lawyers. Brotherly competition. But after I gave that sermon a couple years ago, somebody came up afterward and told me that I was dead wrong. She said that brotherly competition is child's play compared to sister competition. Well, I thought about that all the way home. God protected me from sister rivalry. I have a sister. She won everything. Every single argument, spat, fight that my brothers and I got into, she would win it before it even began by not stepping into the ring. My sister worked smarter, not harder. The Acoma Pueblo natives have a story about the world beginning with twin sisters. And one of them is really competitive. She tries to harvest corn faster than her sister, who tells her it's not a race and picking food faster will only hurt the plants. The competitive sister stands in the sunshine until her skin is bleached, glowing white. But her sister won't compete. Then the competitive sister is in a hurry to create life first before her twin. She lies down at the base of a rainbow and gets pregnant. They get in trouble for it. She tells her sister that she can forge iron, write books, and domesticate livestock. Her sister says, no thanks. Those things will only make life more difficult and less fun. In this Pueblo story, the competitive sister tries so hard to start a rivalry, but she can't. So she gets frustrated and leaves, crossing the ocean to the east. But she says that her descendants will return someday and the contest will continue. That's a really terrifying story because we know where it's going. Those cousins from the east will return with their books and their guns and their competitive spirit. And we know from history that they won't play fair. The Europeans coming to the New World could never beat the Indians in a fair fight. The New World was won with dirty tricks, disease, and liquor, and dishonest treaties, and plain old racism, declarations that the natives were genetically and intellectually inferior, so they did not have a human right to the land. The Cherokee of the Carolinas famously tried to prove them wrong. In the early 1800s, the Cherokee invested in cutting-edge agricultural and industrial technology. They built schools and developed their own written language. They even bought a printing press and created America's first bilingual newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix. They thought that they could gain statehood and federal protection, but the neighboring states were infuriated by Cherokee progress. They did not want their children to have to compete with high-tech, educated Native Americans. So they voted to have the Cherokee removed. The tragedy that we all know as the Trail of Tears. And a generation later, as the Civil War veterans were pushed westward into the plains to fight the Indians, even the great victors of the Civil War, with their muskets and their cannons, found that they couldn't beat the naked horseback riding bow hunters in a fair fight. So the US government put a bounty on the bison, killing off the Plains Indian food supply. I'm not dragging this old stuff out just to make us feel bad about ourselves. I'm reminding you of these old stories to point out a pattern. How ugly it is when European Americans refuse to compete. I've got to say that again. How ugly it is when European Americans refuse to compete. That sounds very strange to me because I was raised with the notion that America is all about competition. Work harder and you will succeed and advance. Put in more time and energy and thought and sacrifice than the other person, and you will win the respect and the dignity, and maybe a few greenbacks too. But when I look back through history and I see all of this racism and sexism and all of that stuff, it's like the so-called white man talks a big game about competition, but then He's always out to disqualify or sabotage any opponent so that he won't have to compete. Well, you're not a real champion if you've got to tie the challenger's shoelaces together in order to win. Personally, I pray for a time in the future when all people, races, genders have an equal chance. I don't pray for that because I'm particularly good. I want that because I'm very, very competitive. I want a chance to work harder than everyone else who's in my field. And if I lose, I don't want it to be because I got disqualified because of my race or gender. And if I win, I don't want anybody standing on the sidelines saying that I had an unfair advantage. One-on-one, equal. That's how I want to compete. But I've got to be careful because I am a very competitive person, and that can make me kind of stupid sometimes. When I was 14 or so, I was a junior counselor at a sleepaway camp, and this kid kept challenging me. He was 7 or 8 years old, and he was always baiting me, always testing me to see who was really in charge. And up for lunch or whatever, he spat on me, spat on my shoe, and then he looked up at me with this gap-toothed grin, and I did something really stupid. I spat on his shoe to show him what it felt like. Except I missed his shoe completely, and the spit went into his mouth. His stupid grin. And I had no choice but to act like it was on purpose. And it really freaked him out. And I'm happy to report he did not escalate. That could have got pretty nasty. As it turns out, that was the adjustment we needed. He wasn't a problem again. But it sticks with me because I stupidly got into a competition with a child, and that made me even more of a child. In this last few years, I've thought about that moment often. While the whole fabric of democracy, the whole nature of reality has become a matter of childish competition. People shouting over each other like second graders on a playground. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. When the coronavirus arrived, it seemed for a moment that this could unite us. Team humanity in defensive formation, together, cooperating against team virus. But no, it just became one more thing for us to compete and argue and shout about. I think of competition as guilty, even toxic. It can be. But competition can also motivate us to be better at whatever we do, to be better than others, to be better than we were in the past. I think competition could save this world. I love hearing about nations that used to compete to make the most dangerous weapons, now competing to have the lowest emissions. But we're not quite there yet. Here in America, we still cling to our competitive spirit, and yet we do a lot of our competition by just shouting at each other. Who knows if our toxic political competition gets any more cartoonish? We may someday need to settle it with a pie eating contest. I am not volunteering for that heroic role. That would be stupidly competitive of me. But if the struggle between reason and irrationality came down to a pie eating contest, I would want my side represented by engineers and scientists, thinkers who look inward and approach problems in creative ways, no matter their race or gender. And I would hope that reason, cooperation, and compassion would win. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We so appreciate your message. And I think we have a few minutes for just a couple of brief questions or comments before we need to bid you farewell.
Absolutely, absolutely. Due to a scheduling error, I will not be able to stay for coffee hour today, but yes, I would welcome questions and comments now.
Anyone on Zoom who has a question or a comment, please feel free to unmute yourself and let her rip.
Hi, this is Bonnie, and I just wanted to say how much I really like the image and the meaning of competing to see who could be most generous. That's going to really stick with me. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
I liked it all, but I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Jill.
I wanted to tell you that the Cherokee Phoenix is available to look at from Hunter Library. Somebody actually translated the Cherokee and you can read it. It was in the 1800s. It's an interesting database available.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jill. That's a wonderful resource. Do we have any other comments or questions at the moment?
I'm just going to throw this out here. I don't know if anybody saw it in chat, but the last bit that you were talking about, TJ, I kind of summed it up: rationality versus irrationality mediated via absurdity. You know, a pie eating contest to decide, you know, who's better, the anti-vaxxers or the vaxxers.
There we go.
Well, and it's funny because, like I said, it's not apparent. I'm told, again, I've never seen one, but I'm told that with eating contests, it's not the people you would expect. It's not, you know, two people could walk into a room and you could point at one and say, obviously that person could eat more. But apparently, winning a pie eating contest or, you know, eating one of those famous hot dog eating contests, the real contest is up here. You have to. People study, they learn how to like connect their mind with their digestive system. And so I find that really, really fascinating and thought-provoking.
Go right ahead, Laura. You have to unmute yourself, Laura.
Okay. I wonder, John, in case I ever get into that pie eating contest, and I do love key lime pies, so I would like to know, get a lesson from you about the engineering or the thoughtful process about eating that pie. And also I have a question, do you have to eat the crust too?
Oh my God.
You know what? I did in that, I mean, excuse me, in the contest that I got into, they said I had to clear that thing. And I felt, I mean, you know, I felt like it gave the other eaters an unfair advantage because some of them had short noses, and I'm a long nosed person, so that made it really difficult. Plus, you gotta get it with your teeth, which is really hard. Plus, you have to turn the pie plate with your teeth. So yeah, there was quite a bit of thinking that had to go into it. And I heard this thing about, I think it's the 4th of July on Coney Island where they do the famous annual hot dog eating contest.
Mm.
And for many years, the winner was this 100-pound, little exercise guy who, but he said you have to envision with every hot dog and with every bun. Apparently he in his mind had figured out a way to like sort them and to put them, into, I don't know how people do it. I'm just really fascinated by it, but apparently you can develop some mental image of your stomach and then you can use it to like steer things around. Like that, I don't know if any of you have played that game of Tetris where the pieces come down and you have to sort them so that they land just right. But apparently there is some kind of gastrointestinal Tetris that people learn to play.
The fellowship has its 50th anniversary next summer, so maybe the board can think about whether we want some kind of wonderful food eating competition for us to enjoy. John, thank you so much for being with us. It's such a treat, and we look forward to having you back with us in March.
Thank you. I look forward to returning in March, and when I come back, I will make certain that I can attend coffee hour with you. Thank
Wonderful.
you so much. Have a wonderful week, and I
Absolutely.
will see you soon.
And now to compete to be most generous, it's time for the offertory. So our offering words are from John Saxon. The light of our chalice would soon flicker and die without the oil that nourishes its flame. And it is the time, the energy, the imagination, the vision, the compassion, the love, and the financial support of our members and friends of this community that fuels our mission to nurture and sustain a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse religious community that transforms lives and serves the world. All gifts are deeply appreciated, for we are now the keepers of its flame that burns for justice, its dream of beloved community, its vision of a world made whole. Our offertory celebrates the fire of commitment. It's hymn number 1028.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep
Thank you, Jude. The dedication of our gifts. Gifts given in love and hope continue a cycle of love and hope. Our closing words. The modern Olympic movement began more than 120 years ago in 1896. The three Olympic values are excellence, which means doing the best we can on the field of play or in our professional life. The important thing is not winning, but taking part, making progress and enjoying the healthy competition of body, will, and mind. Respect. This includes respect for yourself and your body, for other people, for rules and regulations, for sport, and for the environment. Friendship is at the heart of the Olympic movement. It encourages us to see sport as an instrument for mutual understanding between individuals and between people all over the world. Our closing song is We Are Unity. Miss Jude?
I have a dream of what I wanna be. I wanna be free. That's what my heart keeps telling me. Give me your hand.
We'll find a way.
There's people out there
that feel the same.
if we help each other. I just know we can succeed. We are one, but we are different. We from all around the world. We share the same sun, we share the same oceans. We are every boy and girl. Come together and share our dreams. We'll be amongst the stars, and we know that it's destiny. And we are unity. We are unity.
I do believe, oh, I believe in destiny. It's up to me to make it into reality.
Give me your hand.
We'll find a way
People out there,
that feel the same.
if we help each other,
I just know we can succeed.
we are one, but we are different. We from all around the world. We share the same sun, we share the same oceans. We are every boy and girl. Come together and share our dreams. We'll be amongst the stars, and we know that it's destiny. That we are unity. No matter where you're from or who you are, if we can find common place to be, then we are friends. We are one, but we are different. We from all around the world. We share the same sun, we share the same oceans. Oh. We are one, but we are different. We're from all around the world. We share the same sun, we share the same oceans. We are every boy and girl. Come together and share our dreams. We'll be amongst the stars, and we know that it's destiny. That we are unity. We are unity.
Jude, thank you so much for that very, very beautiful song. was a wonderful gift. Our chalice extinguishing. Many congregations extinguish their chalice at the close of worship, sometimes with a reminder that those who have gathered together now carry the warmth of human community and the light of truth with them throughout the week. The fire is not so much extinguished as born in the heart of each person, a new expression of what Ralph Waldo Emerson called divine spark, the manifestation of divine possibility within each human soul. When we're together, we circle our round sanctuary and join hands for our closing circle and covenant. For now, we will join together in spirit as we recite our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and community is its goal. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.